Welcome to a most joyous occasion as we honor the talented women and men who already have achieved so much and are just getting started. I give you the 2017 Master's graduates of Teachers College. Congratulations, graduates. You made it. Congratulations as well to all those who helped you make it to this day, our outstanding faculty. Our dedicated staff who keep us on track, fed, safe, and well-maintained. And let's all show our appreciation to your families and partners for their love, encouragement, and support. Graduates, you now join the ranks of our 90,000 alumni who are leaders in education, psychology, and health. Like them, you now have the power to transform the learning environment of schools and organizations and to expand opportunity for everyone, including our most marginalized and vulnerable fellow human beings. And like them, you are dedicating your lives and careers to the pursuit of social justice, a TC tradition that literally goes back to our founder 130 years ago, Grace Hoadley Dodge. Grace Dodge was among the leaders of a growing movement in the late 19th century to provide educational and social opportunities for low-income and marginalized populations. Like her contemporary Jane Addams, who founded settlement houses where people from different socioeconomic backgrounds could share ideas and information, Grace was bound and determined to improve the lives of struggling families. It was her unique vision to establish a college that would prepare teachers to work with immigrant students and their families who had recently fled poverty, war, and prejudice, and were still encountering xenophobia and economic peril. It was also Grace Dodge's brilliance to recognize the need for a new kind of educator, one with the skills, cultural understanding, and self-awareness to address immigrants' educational, health, and psychological needs. Armed with this deeper knowledge, this new type of educator could help immigrants and their communities achieve economic and social mobility. Thanks to Grace Dodge, Teachers College quickly became a force for increasing educational opportunity as a path to greater social justice. As more populations gained a foothold in society, thanks to institutions like TC, it became more essential for educators to teach the rights and responsibilities of citizenship. And the teaching of civics became commonplace in American classrooms through much of the 20th century. Helped by TC icons like Harold Rugg, founder of the National Council for the Social Studies, students were taught to think critically, to make knowledgeable judgments about political and social issues, and to analyze and weigh the statements of journalists, politicians, and policymakers. They were encouraged to participate in constructive and respectful debate, to consider opposing viewpoints, to vote, and even to consider running for office. They were taught about how the U.S., a nation of immigrants, has from time to time encountered and then marginalized waves of nativism. They were taught that basic rights are guaranteed for all, not just for those who triumph at the ballot box. Sadly, over the years, an ever narrower focus on testing math and reading skills squeezed civics out of the curriculum almost entirely. But we shouldn't romanticize the past. For most of the 20th century, legal and then de facto segregation was condoned. It's clear that the civics of old did not confront racial and cultural stereotyping and the biases that persist until today. When we reflect on recent and current events, from violence against people of color, women, and LGBT individuals, to the prevalence of fake news and the divisiveness of our political climate, we must conclude that the time has come to revive civic education for today's multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic, digital society. Yes. And this time, the lessons of critical thinking, civil dialogue, and public engagement must go hand in hand with an unshakable commitment to confront prejudice and discrimination and to secure safety, opportunity, and equality for all. As the largest and best school of education in the world, I would say the planet, TC is up to the challenge. We have launched a major civic education initiative to redesign, reinvigorate, and reestablish civic education for the 21st century. Faculty from across departments have been coming together to plan a series of projects, from pre-K to post-secondary, from professional development to digital literacy programs. Graduates, we're proud of the ways that you have contributed to our ideas for this initiative and to TC's role in advancing civic education. And we know that you are well prepared to keep challenging, reimagining, and changing the ways our schools and institutions work to produce kind, thoughtful, and engaged citizens. We have faith in the future because we have already seen you promote civic education in 3 distinct ways. First, you have promoted civic education at TC, beginning with your calls for more robust discussions on how to educate responsibly about race, gender, and class. For example, through our Racial Literacy Roundtable series, you have participated in discussions on topics such as global collaboration through new classroom media, the value of generating youth activism, and the power of personal narrative. Through our Civic Participation Project, you help organize conversations, cultural events, safe spaces, and podcasts for the exchange of multiple perspectives on social justice and youth well-being in our schools and communities. And many of you were instrumental in categorizing 6 courses across the college through a race, ethnicity, and intercultural understanding curriculum map. The map is helping guide TC students as they think about race and diversity from multiple perspectives. The second way you promoted civic education was by supporting faculty and student-led efforts to help produce responsible, engaged citizens. Quite a number of you contributed to increasing student democratic participation and educational empowerment through your work in the policy arena. In fact, some of you may have helped launch a project that will be closely tied to TC's Civic Education Initiative, our Campaign for Educational Equity's Civic Preparation Project. This project aims to secure and strengthen our democracy by preparing students to become civically engaged. Project activities include scholarly research and case studies on civic education and participation in public schools, legal action to protect students' rights to a meaningful civic education, and public engagement and advocacy, and outreach to ensure effective policy creation and implementation. Some of you have worked to educate citizens about the damaging impact of microaggressions, the everyday slights and put-downs that have terrible long-term psychological effects and inhibit interracial communication and understanding. Some of you have worked in our global mental health lab, helping to prepare mental health service providers for international refugees and others afflicted by war, pandemic, natural disaster, and dislocation. Others have helped provide mental and educational support and training for war veterans who are seeking to reintegrate into their communities as productive citizens. Some of you have published articles on your fieldwork experiences delivering community health education, giving students and families the resources and tools to live longer, healthier, more active lives. Some of you were instrumental in the creation and organization of TC's Reimagining Education Institute on teaching and learning in racially diverse schools, a 4-day summer conference for educators and leaders in the community who want to foster greater social and civic justice in their classrooms. The third way you have promoted exceptional citizenship has been in your individual work. Take Cindy Wilshire, who's fighting poverty with brain science and giving more low-income children the chance to become full participants in their schools and communities. Cindy is the child of Bolivian immigrants, and 24 years ago became the first in her family to attend college. After graduating with a degree in biology and environmental science, she didn't expect ever to see the inside of a science laboratory again. She decided she loved teaching more and spent the next 2 decades at the front of the classroom. Along the way, she got a master's in child education, plus a husband and 2 children. Cindy had always noticed the differences in learning and community engagement among students from different socioeconomic backgrounds, but it never occurred to her that she could actually do something about it, until she heard a lecture about education and brain research. So Cindy became a student once again. She chose TC because it was the only school to combine neuroscience and education into a single program. She was certain that she had made the right choice when she discovered Professor Kim Noble. Dr. Noble has been doing pioneering research on the effects of poverty on early childhood brain development and on whether supplementing a mother's income in the first years of a child's life can reduce these effects. As Cindy says, so much of education occurs before kids ever enter a classroom. Cindy is back in the lab again. As a graduate research assistant for Dr. Noble, she's been involved in a study of how environmental factors influence a child's memory and language development. She'll use her research to help create economic, social, and educational policies that could reduce inequity and improve the health and well-being of millions of future citizens. Cindy, thank you, and congratulations to your entire family. Counseling and clinical psychology graduate Max Exelis is preparing better citizens by raising mental health awareness among marginalized populations and setting an example of kindness, mutual respect, and civic engagement, obviously while engendering a lot of fans. Mac is the child of Haitian immigrants. His father has driven a New York City cab for 37 years. His mother was a home health aide. Mac grew up in 3 of the 5 boroughs, attended LaGuardia Community College and Brooklyn College, and worked for a while as an actor. But when his mother passed away in 2011, Mac was 25 broke and unemployed. He kept his voice and spirit alive by using his talents to serve others, finding work with a theater company that performed for young people in urban schools, alternative learning centers, and low-income housing. Mac was also in therapy, where he was able to speak openly about his grief and other mental health issues. Therapy helped. So why was it, he wondered, that so few fellow African Americans were in counseling? Mac learned that stigma against mental health care, as well as disparities in access, prevent many African Americans from seeking the treatment they need, even though exposure to racism, discrimination, poverty, and violence make urban African American communities among the most prone to psychological distress. Mac was also aware of the disproportionately small number of psychologists and counselors of African descent. He felt that a lack of diversity in the counseling professions, like a lack of diversity in classrooms, limited perspectives and dialogue that could otherwise help all of us find common ground and become healthier citizens. So he made a decision to apply to Teachers College. By simply being in the field as a representative, I think I can help start the conversation, he said. He certainly has. As a counselor of young male detainees at Rikers Island, Mac models respect, trust, open communication, and the value of self-care and mental wellness. He has prepared clients to build communities of support within prison and to exercise their civic rights with newfound purpose upon their release. Mac will keep using his voice to encourage more African Americans to consider mental health care as a resource and as a career, and to foster civic care and participation, especially among those who feel voiceless or lost. Thank you, Mac, and congratulations. Graduates, the important work that all of you are doing in pursuit of social justice and advancing civic education is very much at the core of what makes TC great. In this room are psychologists who will develop language and culture-specific systems of support for the impoverished, for veterans, for refugees, and for millions of displaced and marginalized people seeking to exercise and enjoy the privileges of citizenship. Others among you will help shape and set policies that could once and for all end disparities in access to quality education and health care, disparities that have penalized generation after generation of low-income Americans and people of color. Or perhaps you will extend our work in bringing the gift of speech to impaired children and the chance to speak out loudly about the issues they care about. But all of you will have a hand in changing the trajectories of the lives you touch for the better, and they will change you. Why? Because the diplomas you leave with today stand for more than a resolve to confront what's wrong in our society and to make it right. They're also a summons for you to continue to deepen your knowledge and understanding of the students you teach, attend to, their culture, their experiences, their realities, so you can work with them to achieve brighter futures. The challenges confronting our society are daunting, but my faculty colleagues and I are optimistic about the future because we have taken the full measure of your talents, integrity, and fitness to become leading thinkers, advocates, professionals, and scholars. We are confident that individually and collectively, you will make the greatest possible difference in the world, and you will both be and create outstanding citizens in the course of your work. You will reinvigorate the civic purpose of education, psychology, and health. This is your time. Keep bright the chain of social justice and the striving for civic good that started for all of us at TC's founding. Congratulations.